Long before time began, God knew we would need a special place upon which to build a building where His message could be produced and distributed to a dying world. As His hand shaped the rolling land that would become the Ohio River Valley, He formed one hilltop with this work in mind. Over the millennia that passed, it became a hardwood forest, which in turn was cleared to become productive farmland. By the late spring of 1998, this 75-acre tract of land at the edge of Jeffersonville would now change once again, this time to become a place dedicated solely to providing spiritual food to the bride of Christ around the world. Before the planned structure could be erected, the building site would need to be leveled, its dirt compacted for the floors, the basement excavated, and a stormwater retention pond built to handle the runoff from the roof and paved areas. To do this, giant earth-moving equipment peeled away the long-standing pasture and hayfields to reveal the rich brown earth that lay below it. Our plans called for a basement under the office wing. When one corner of this area was found to be rock, it was necessary to drill holes in the rock and set off charges of dynamite. In a matter of seconds, 1,000 cubic yards of solid rock was reduced to a pile of broken chunks and pieces. By mid-August, we were ready to begin the first pouring of concrete for the building foundation. The Ohio Valley was experiencing the driest summer in many years, allowing our concrete contractor to get off to a good start. There was a special excitement in the air as the first gray concrete was poured. Our long-awaited dream was finally becoming a reality. To pour the basement walls, forms 15 feet high were put in place, and a special concrete pump was brought in to pour the walls. When the forms were removed, we had a basement of 14,000 square feet. The final layer of concrete was then poured and finished. Over the next 2 months, 260 separate loads of concrete were to be used on this 64,000 square foot building. If all the trucks used to bring concrete to this project were lined up bumper to bumper, they would form a line 1.5 miles long. Although unaccustomed to work that included such tasks as tying rebars and laying metal decking over the basement, Voice of God Recordings employees were used whenever possible in the building project. By now, it was late November, and the days were shortening fast. In order to have the finishing of the concrete completed, we had to begin the concrete pours at 4 a.m. Working in darkness under artificial light, the workers were silhouetted against the steam rising from the newly poured concrete. The delivery of the first load of some 25 semi-truckloads of steel was a much anticipated time of excitement. The beams looked so much bigger than we had imagined. Those designated for the upper structure were red, while those slated for installation below surface level were gray. We were anxious to start seeing these massive pieces of steel erected to form the skeleton of our new building. Until now, with everything at or below ground level, those driving past on the surrounding roads could not tell what was being built on this hill. With the erection of the giant red beams, however, all that changed. As each of the giant red beams and 80-foot steel arches, weighing approximately 5 tons each, was lifted into place over what would become the lobby and employees' cafeteria, the shape of the new building began to appear before their eyes, rising to form almost a cathedral appearance against the sky. Although we experienced a mild winter for this area, it was still cold, windy, and sometimes icy at the construction site during the month of January 1999. But the work continued, and steel was erected over the press room and warehouse area. By the 1st of February, the steel on the office wing had also been erected. With the arrival of spring, we began work on the next phase of the building. By now, steel siding was being installed to enclose the rear of the building. Our employees were busy putting up metal strapping to hold insulation prior to installation of the roof, and steel studs were put in place throughout the building. Even before one project is finished, another one is beginning. Much of the work that was going on all over the building, sidewall board, electrical work, painting of open beams, and installing a cover for the installation, was done by our own workforce. Native stone from a quarry in Brother Branham's birth state of Kentucky was an appropriate choice to highlight the front of the building. "43 separate heat pump zones would provide heating and cooling to the entire building, the interior of which was now quickly beginning to take shape. While stucco was applied to the exterior, the steel framing of some 40 offices was completed, and over the next few weeks, some 100,000 square feet of drywall was installed. Back on the outside, the finishing of the stucco exterior was nearing completion. When the press room was under roof, the first of 2 presses the Lord provided arrived and was assembled. This 6-color Heidelberg press will enable us to print all of our own color work, including book covers and such projects as Catch the Vision. Meanwhile, at the other end of the building, windows are being installed in our spacious lobby. White walls and ceiling reflect natural light from windows across the 9,750 square foot press room. As soon as the taping, mudding, and sanding of the drywall is complete, the process of painting the interior will begin. Skylights augment the natural lighting in several areas of the building. The arrival of our M200 Harris web press is really a cause to rejoice. What a long way we have come over the years. As the final stages of assembling and installing the press was completed, the glass was installed around the employees' cafeteria. The acoustic ceiling tile was nearing completion, and the installation of 3,000 yards of carpet began. Over the next few weeks, baseboard and trim would be installed. Tile was laid in the cafeteria, restrooms, and the lobby of the building, some being cut to form a design. The halls, offices, and duplication workstations were carpeted. Each of the 40 offices and workstations were designed for maximum efficiency while providing an attractive work area. Rather than use freestanding office desks, custom-built cabinets and countertops were installed, providing our employees with an area best equipped for their specific needs. By fall, it was time to pave the driveways that led to our building and the parking areas for visitors and employees. It took some 11,000 square yards of asphalt paving to accomplish this. The installation of boulevard lighting also signaled that completion was nearing. As the 20th century drew to a close, we finally began the long task of moving our equipment and inventory. All the remaining inventory and supplies in our old building were moved to their new locations. The new warehouse area quickly began to fill. The old tables and shelves received a fresh coat of paint before being put to use. The equipment used for tape duplication was serviced and installed in the new workstations. The final touches were then applied to the tile, and special custom designs were made in the carpeting that required careful hand beveling. Since the 1st of January 2000, Voice of God Recordings has been operating from the new building that now graces a grassy hill just at the edge of Jeffersonville.
We do hope that you will be able to visit us in the near future. You will always be welcome, for this building is a tribute not only to his prophet, but also to each member of the Bride of Christ. It was your prayers and sacrifices that have made a reality of this special place that was in God's mind even before time began.
Till Jesus comes we'll work. Till Jesus comes we'll work. Till Jesus comes and we gather home.
I guess we'll go down here.
I told Stephanie, you do it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you. Can I help you, sister?
Well, what they call it is
And Joseph, we are so happy that we could come over here to be part of this great event for the Bride of Christ. Thank you for everything and God bless you. May the blessings of the Lord be always with you. Amen.
God bless you. Greetings from Central Africa. English-speaking Central Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. And I'm glad to have my colleague here, Brother Dixon Kandoja. God bless you. God bless you.
It's a wonderful experience for us to be here, seeing what the Lord has done. We see this as the hand of God. And to see all this that has been done, and the work that is being done here, we appreciate all those people that support Voice of God, and people that come to Africa do missionary work, that's good. But when you send the message books and the text, that's the true missionary in Africa.
Also preparing traveling try to make it like here.
Liberian, South Africa. I represent the government office. It's a great privilege for me to be here this day and be with the believers and have this time of fellowship. And we thank God for this message. And it just breaks us apart. This season we never even started. And we are thanking Brother Joseph for making this a possibility for us to be here and to represent the voice of God.
Brother Keith from Cape Town, South Africa, and it's been my privilege to be shaking the hands of these saints that have made it possible for us to take this prophet's message to the black countries of our, black people of our countries, and it's been a blessing. The same effect, the same revelation is giving a bride in. I'm thankful to be part of this chain of God, to get souls to glory, and to just introduce Brother Branham the best thing that we can for this messages, the books and the tapes that you people have made possible to take on to our people. Only eternity will unfold what's happening. God bless every one of you.
Amen. Let's sing together, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but
Well, we welcome you all in the lovely name of the Lord Jesus. We're so thankful to have each and every one of you to be here today. I'd like to ask you, what do you think of your new home? We can make you this promise, that nothing will come out of here but the word of the Lord, spoken by His prophet. It said in the days of a voice, not voices, voice. And that's what brings us all here today, because that we heard that voice. And God hasn't called out people. We never anticipated or thought that we would be here this long. But God knew in His great plan that we would be here. I was thinking this morning about, Lord, we've said many times that we know the prophet said that the tape recorder was invented for this message. Well, it wasn't invented for the message back then. It was for now. We had the prophet alive back then, but now we've got the voice of God alive today. So we don't have to take nobody's word for it. We can hear for ourselves what the prophet of God said. But we believe it is this message that perfects the bride. We're getting ready for this day to come with such great anticipation. Brother Billy Paul and I were talking. He says, Bub, how many people do you think is going to be there? You think we'll have about 2,500 this time? 3,000? I said, Billy, you better take that times 3. I said, they are definitely going to be coming from the east and west and north. You're not going to miss this day for nothing. And as we welcomed you yesterday and shook your hands, it was such a great joy for us to be able to welcome you here in this place that the Lord has built. So this morning, it's a great honor for me to introduce Brother Billy Paul, to come up here and to greet you, and to say what he has upon your heart. And we so look forward to seeing you. And we're so thankful to the Lord that yesterday Satan tried to get in another punch, and had the rain, and had the storm clouds, and the Lord just blew them off.
It's an honor to be with you this morning. I guess this morning I've been up all night. But to see all of your smiling faces and to know that because He lives, we live also. And God sent a prophet with thus saith the Lord. We don't have to worry about when we turn on the tape recorder, what we're going to hear, because it's the voice of God to the God of Jesus. I know many times that we get to the place that it looks like it becomes common, but it never becomes common to us. If we hear it today, if we hear it tomorrow, and if we're here when our great-grandchildren are here, it'll still say the same thing. I'm not going to take for just a little moment here, but I just think it's such a privilege to stand here. We never visualized, I didn't that it would be like this, but God knew before the foundation of the world after looking across the bannisters this morning. There's a hallelujah and glory land today. What an honor it is. Just 2 houses up this road. That's where my dad lived a lot of his life. And I know that many times you walk across these fields. But God knew that one day that voice will come from him. My little brother sat down the other day and I was down in Tennessee. He's here today and I don't want to embarrass him. But not embarrassing, I think it's a beautiful statement. But he said, his daddy told him, he said, son, he said, when you get old enough to leave home, he said, you be sure you get with believers. And he said, son, if you can't find no believers, you raise your son. So we're after today to see all the believers. And I'm just going to be just a second here, but I forgot so many people, we can't call their names. We can't do that. Brother Joseph's going to take care of most of that. But I just want to recognize some real special friends. You're not getting old. I don't know what all this means, but I know it's perfect. I see one of our old trustees here. I can say old because I'm one of them. So of the old original board, there's several members that's here today. First of all, Brother Collins. Not only chairman of the board in those days, but he was assistant pastor to Brother Branham in the church. Brother Fred Stockman, stand up, Brother Fred. Brother Stockman's here on the board. Brother Holly Hickerson. Brother Hickerson, are you here? Wave your hand. I know you're a little man, but you got to tell them more. Also, Brother Carl Wheeler, one of the original deacons of the church. Brother Wheeler, where are you at? I understand that Brother Roy Roberson is supposed to be here. I know he's probably not in the crowd, but it will be real quiet. I'd like to know if he's here. Is Brother Roberson here? He's in the crowd. God bless you, Brother Roberson. You know, it's a strange thing. A lot of the board members are still here. I'm glad to be part of it. But this morning, I don't want to take no time. I just wanted to say we welcome you. And as Brother Joseph said, it's your building. It's his. But it's to get that word out. Amen. That you have supported, lived for, and lived this message all these years. We know they come from the north, south, east, and west. The Brother Branham said one day we'll baptize that last one, and then we'll go home. One day that'll be it. That's the thing to say thank you for. We just don't have time. Brother Joseph's going to give a little history, I believe, and nobody's going to pull his coattail. We just have all the time. But I'd just like to give a little testimony if it's okay. This working. I won't stand behind here so I don't get too excited. But when we started with the building, Brother Joseph will tell you about that. And the one thing that I have on my heart, and I think this is so edifying to what we're here for today. And I said, Bub, if we build a new building, there's one thing that we need. And he said, what do you think, Bub? I said, I want a chapel. It doesn't have to be big, but I want a place where we can go in and pray. If someone comes to be prayed for, or whatever, I think we ought to have a chapel. He said, that's perfect. We won't get into the details, but you know how it is when you build a new building, it has to be zoned this way and that way. And there's such a wonderful testimony of the whole thing. But when he comes to the zoning board, they said, no way. Everything around here, it was no way, you can't do it. Finally, we got a call from someone, which we won't say who, that was on the board, and said, we know the board refused it, But after looking at your plans last night, I see you have a chapel. And a chapel is a church. And it does not have to be no special zoning for a church, so you can have the building. That's my privilege to introduce you. You don't know him. We're loving. Everybody, there's not enough words to describe what everybody's done. Our families, I look, my children, grandchildren, grandchildren. If you get any older, it'll be great-grandchildren. But anyway, just to have them here and to see them working the way. But I believe Abraham saw this day. Do you believe that? It's my privilege. I'm not feeling my brother. But God give you the vision. God give you the vision. God called you to the world. And you couldn't have done nothing but because God told you that to do the very best. Very good.
Ready for some more testimonies myself. When you come around the pulpit here, I thought, here we go. I think we can hear a couple more. Well, he's my brother, and I've heard a lot of them a bazillion of times, but every time I hear them, they touch my heart. And I believe that God let him stay and to be here so that he would be a witness to things that he saw and that he heard. That this message is true. Amen. Amen. It is a great privilege to be here before you this morning. As I said, I don't have the words adequately to speak to you, to what I feel on my heart, because Brother Billy Paul said, truly, this is your building. It was built for the bride of Christ. You know, it couldn't even been in our thoughts years ago that we would be here on this day. It was beyond our thinking. As many times as I've testified as a young boy, I really thought I was going to get ripped off and I'd never even get to be married or drive a car because I thought the Lord was coming. Everything I heard that the Lord's coming in 3 days, 5 days, 5 years, 3 years, 77, that God had a plan. And no matter if it goes on to the year 3035 or beyond, it will still be this message. There's not going to be another one that comes. I've heard many say, well, the torch has been passed. It ain't been passed, brother. God sent a prophet. Thus saith the Lord. And it comes to the prophet. He is the divine interpreter of God's word. And that's the reason that this building is here today. And it is truly the hand of God that gives us this building. And there's really not enough time today to go into the many things that the testimonies that we have of how God made the opportunity that we could have this building and to be here. But you know, as we're down in the quadrangle for many, many years, the spoken word was down there. The spoken word and voice of God merged together. And that time, Brother Billy Paul and I, we prayed, well, maybe we should get a new building. Maybe we should, it's time for us to move out of here. We started looking and couldn't find nothing. There was no buildings that were available. So we just thought, well, we'll just remodel it. We'll just keep right on going. So we kept going as the years. It just kept getting bigger, bigger, bigger. The word kept going out more and more and more. And pretty soon we got every nook and cranny. And all of you that's been there know that we've utilized every space there was in that building. We turned bathrooms into offices and closets into editing stations and anything that we could. And then it come time that we got word that the building was going to be sold. So we went before the Lord in prayer and said, Lord, maybe we're supposed to buy the quadrangle. Maybe we should buy it. We should repair the building and fix it up. So we started praying and thought, well, we'll pray for that and then we'll just start looking for land. So we put it before the Lord and they were going to have the auction. And Brother Billy Paul and I went down and before the Lord we put what we thought would be a fair market value for the piece of property. And We thought, well, we'll put this before you, Lord, and if the property goes for that, then we'll know that it's our piece of property. We should stay here. We should rebuild. The first bid that went forward went way over what we even thought we were supposed to pay for the building. We just kind of looked at one another. It's not ours. He's got something else in mind, something greater for us. So I got the brothers together and I told them, I says, okay, I want to get the plot plans, and I want to see every piece of land from Jeffersonville to Charlestown to Sellersburg. And I want to look over that land and see every piece of land that's big enough that will hold a new Voice of God building. We need about 10 or 15 acres of land minimum to hold the building in the parking lot. So we got the plot plan out, we got in our cars, and we took off and we started driving down the road. We started looking at all the different pieces of property. We marked down, well, that's big enough, we'll mark that down. Went down to the next place. We went all around the whole area here, just looking at the land. First, we just wanted to find, Lord, lead us where we were supposed to be at. So we come back, we were driving down, come around the road here, and we looked up on top of this hill here, and we seen this big open field that was here. So, man, let's pull in there. We pulled up the field, and we started driving down the road, and you couldn't even see the house back there. Whoa, when we turned around, it's just a presence came inside of the van. Man, this place is awesome, Billy. This is beautiful, you know. Then we come, we turned around, we come about halfway down the road, we looked, and I said, oh, if there's any place, man, this would be the place. Brother Billy Paul looked at me and he said, man, if this was the place, the Lord would just have to give us this place. Because if it was mine, I wouldn't move out of here. So we got back in the car, and we went back to the Voice of God, and I had the brothers, and we had marked down all the land that we had looked at. And I told the brother, I says, okay, just start calling each one of these places and tell them that we're looking for land for sale. We know they didn't have a for sale sign, but we want to know if it's possible that they could sell their land. So we started calling up the places that we had marked, and we found out it was very few places that was open or big enough for where we could build. So we called a couple places, and the land was very expensive. Developers that wanted to move in there and build condominiums and build houses. We came up here to a place across the street to the land, that beautiful open farmland that was out here. And we called up the owner, and he says, no way. He says, I'm not interested. I don't want to sell it. And he said, you people quit calling me up, and we're not going to sell the property. And the brother told him, he says, that's okay. We're just checking. We appreciate it. So he called the next one, and he called out here to Mr. and Mrs. Munich, just the people that own the property. And he called them up on the telephone, and he said, yes, sir. He says, we're just out to your property. And he says, we're looking. We have a building in Jeffersonville. And he says, we're looking to buy some property and want to know if you're interested in selling your land. He says, no, sir. He says, I'm sorry. We're not interested in selling the land. And he says, we've had a lot of people that's asked and wanted to build out here and develop the land. And they just had a father and son, I believe, that just showed up, and they had wanted to buy the land and to develop it and make it into a residential area. And he told him, he says, well, thank you very much, sir, for your time. I appreciate it. He says, it's getting ready to hang up, and he says, let me ask you. He says, well, what was you going to do with the land? He says, what was it for? And he says, well, we have a business in town, and we've outgrown it. And he says, we need a new place to build a building at. And he says, well, what's the name of your business? And he says, the Voice of, and he says, I never even got out the Voice of God. And he said, you mean Bill Branham? The fact that God had his prophet get in contact with that man many years ago. He said, you come out here. He says, I want to see you. So the next couple of days, sorry. Ain't he wonderful? We got the car. come out here a few days later, it was raining. We pulled up to the house. This little man come walking out of the house with an umbrella. He didn't want us to get wet coming into his house. He says, come on in here, come on in here. So you're Bill Branham's son, huh? Come on in here. He sat down and he started talking to us. He said, oh man, he says, I remember Brother Bill. He says, I'm Billy Branham. He says, back when I was a young man, and he'd down there fishing down at the river, he'd come pick us up. And he says, and he'd tell us fishing stories. And he says, we knew him, we'd see him around town, and when he'd go out west and come back and everything. And he says, oh yeah, he says, we knew him well. He says, so you're his son? I said, yes, sir. He says, well, we've known him for years, and he was just going on and on. He says, you know, down at the river, down there at the falls of the river, he says, they've got that museum down there. He says, I'm involved in that. And he says, we got that museum put up and everything. And he says, I spend a lot of time down at the river. And he said, you know, he says, I'll be down there. And he says, your people, he says, are the best people in the world. I said, yes, sir, you're right. He says, but I'll see them pull up there and they'll be looking around and they'll be asking to say, do you guys know where the Voice of God recordings is at? And he says, I sure do. He says, but I don't tell them how to get there. He says, I get in my car and say, just come follow me, I'll show you. He says, so I take him down there to the Voice of God that you're building at down there, and he says, and I show him where he's got us work at down there. And I said, well, thank you, Mr. Biddick. I really appreciate that. And he says, so, he says, you need to build a building. He says, well, he says, how about just buying that building where you're at down there? He says, that's a nice big building. And I said, well, sir, we tried. I said, they're going up for an auction on it. And I said, it's too expensive. And he says, a lot of rework and stuff. And I said, we've just been looking around at land and stuff. And he said, your place out here? I said, it's just beautiful. And he says, yeah. I said, well, you know, we're not interested in selling it. And a lot of people have tried to buy it and everything. And I said, yes, sir. I said, I understand it. He said, how much land would you need? And I said, well, sir, I says, I don't know, like 10 or 15 acres or so. I says, I don't know. And he says, well, he says, you know, you'd have to worry about a treatment plant and getting water out here and everything else to do that. We're out in the country, you know. And his wife was sitting there, and she wasn't real in favor about maybe at first us getting out here to the building. And she says, Don, I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself here. You know, wait a minute, you know. And he says, yeah. And he says, well, I said, I'll tell you what. He says, we're getting ready to go out west for a little while. He says, when we come back, he says, we'll get together. He says, I'm sure we'll work something out. So we got in the car, we drove halfway down here, and I looked over at Brother Nathan. I says, Brother Nathan, what just happened in that house? I said, did the Lord just move on the scene or what? He come back a week later, he says, I don't think we'll have no problems. Come on out here, you can have the land. So we come out here and we spoke to him, and we walked around the property, and we were talking about maybe where we could put the building and stuff. And he says, I think that it would be the greatest thing that could ever happen to this community for you people to move out here. He says, even if I was you, he says, I would ask the city, he says, I would take Brother Branham, and he says, I would move him out here to be on the property with me. I said, well, thank you, sir. It really was taking me by shock. So we got in the car, and we took off, and we come back, and was telling Brother Billy Paul, and we were getting so excited about it, and I thought, Lord, I don't know how to thank you, Father. One door is shut, you just open up another door. You open up another one, and you open up another one. It's got to be you. So we got back to the Voice of God, and got with Brother Nathan, and told him, I said, we need to do a letter. I just want to write a letter to him, just personally thank him once again for all this kindness and everything that he did. And I asked him, I said, well, what's his address out there? He said, I don't know. He said, I'll just look it up in the phone book. So he opened the phone book up, and as it is probably where you live, in each one of the different cities, you have different prefixes on your telephone. Well, Jeffersonville is 282 or 288 or 283. Well, the next city that's up here is Charlestown, is 256, and Sellersburg is 246. So when he looked in the phone book, he opened it up, and it had his name in there, and it said 256, and had his telephone number. So he wrote out the letter to Don and Sue Munich, and said it 15911 Charlestown Pike, Charlestown, Indiana. We mailed it to him. After we mailed it to him, a couple of days passed, and told Billy, I said, my goodness, I forgot all about it and all this excitement of what's going on and everything. We wanted to stay in Jeffersonville. Now, it can't be right. I mean, we're out there in Charlestown, Indiana. What Brother Branham said, his office and headquarters is in Jeffersonville. I said, I never even thought about that, Billy. I said, we were so excited about everything. So the next day, we got a return letter that came back from us. And it was from Mr. and Mrs. Munich. So we took the letter, and they got back in town, and I drove out here, and I come up to them and knocked on the door, and I said, Miss Munich, while you're gone, I wanted to send you a special thank you letter to tell you how much we appreciate you and what you did. I says that it got returned back to us. He says, oh, Joseph, he says, that happens all the time. He says, people look at that telephone number and think that that's a Charlestown address. He said, this is the last street that's Jefferson. Criticism when we say it, but the prophet said it, so I don't care what you say. And it's not Joseph Branham or Billy Branham, but it's God's prophet and this message. And the message is going out, and there's works everywhere, but the prophet of God said, I'm prophesying, and if you're spiritual, you'll catch it. He said, this will be my headquarters. So we're still in Jefferson. We came out here, it's been a little over 2 years ago, and we got the employees, and we stood right where you're standing out right now, and we dedicated this land to the Lord and to His service on April 6th. And I thank the Lord's provided a way so that we could be here today, that we could dedicate this land to Him. But if it wasn't first, all the glory goes to Him. He's the one that did it. We didn't do nothing. But then He laid it upon your heart. You built this building. It was your love, and your prayer, and your support that built this building and put it up. We don't have words to express. And the many brothers and sisters that came up here and volunteered their time and put in hours and hours, thousands of hours to see this building go up. The Voice of God employees that come up during the winter time when it was freezing cold to put up the steel. When it was in the hot summertime to come up. The letters that come in, Brother Joseph, can we come? We'll cut the grass. We'll rake the leaves. Can we move the steel? What can we do? We want to be part of it. You're all a part of it. God called you all to be a part of it. And then to come and to be here and to see it and to see the completion of it is just a blessing from Him. We could never build it nice enough. It could be made out of solid gold and it wouldn't be good enough for this message. But as time goes on, it'll stand for this message. And I never want to be that it would be someday maybe our great-grandchildren, as Brother Billy Hall said, that will be standing on this, having a service just like us. This message will still be true and it'll still be going forward. Nothing but the message of the hour will come out of this building. And then we'd like to thank all the brothers, and this is a portion of it that you see standing behind us here. The brothers that take this message, that you as brothers and sisters provide to these brothers to take overseas to their country. And that they take the true Word of God and take from the books to their people. Amen? I wish we had time time for each one of them to come up here and give you a little testimony. And I wish that you could be with us when we meet with them. And at the table we're eating and go from chair to chair to hear what the Lord's doing in their work and testimonies and how the message gets to the people and everything. But I have just a quick testimony before we go into the dedication. I shared with some of the brothers the other night that I told them to encourage them. You know, sometimes you feel like you're just spinning your wheels. You know what that's like. You feel like your prayers are not going nowhere and you're not doing nothing. These brothers, they go out into the bushes and into the jungles and everywhere to take this message to where it is. I've been privileged to be with them in a few of the places, in some of the places that you wouldn't have your animals living there. The filthy, dirty places and the danger that they go under to get this message to the bride of Christ. They sacrifice their lives so that it doesn't go in vain. It's been a problem. Amen. And I'm a witness, as it was with Brother Branham, that they carry it on, that they leave their families behind so that they can go out and take the message. Yes, it's been 5 or 6 years ago that my daughter Princess, we had her put in a Christian school, and one of her best friends over there, her father was a missionary, and he was a missionary to Ecuador. And Princess was telling me about him and said, you know how in the denominations they come out every few years, they go around to the different churches, they collect enough money up so that they can go back over to their countries and stay for a while. And so come graduation night, and Brother Billy Paul and our families was there at the graduation. After the graduation service, Princess walks up with her little girlfriend and with her father, and she introduced him to Brother Billy and I. He introduced himself, and he says, nice to meet you, gentlemen. He says, I'm Brother so-and-so, and he says, I do missionary work in Ecuador. He says, thank you, nice to meet you. And I says, I understand that you do missionary work also. And he says, yes, sir. He says, I'm getting ready to go back to Ecuador tomorrow. And I says, well, God bless you, my brother. I said, the Lord be with you and guide you, direct you, and keep you in your work. He says, thank you, sir. And he says, I would like to invite you to come to Ecuador sometime. And he says, you know, I have a little mosque house, and he says, the church has provided me with a little Jeep. And he says, you know, I go out, and he says, I take the Bibles and stuff, and he says, I go way up in the mountains of Ecuador, way back in the jungles. He says, I go where no man goes. And he says, I get back up in there, and he says, and I take my Jeep and get back up in there, and he says, I pull into those little villages, and he says, the people come running out of the villages, coming up to us to greet us when we come there. And he says, I get outside of the Jeep, and he says, and I greet them all, and he says, then I get them all quiet. And he says, I'm here to tell you about Jesus Christ. And he says, the people look at me, and he says, we don't know Jesus Christ. He says, well, how do you know Jesus Christ? They say, have you ever heard of William Branham? That's because these brothers take the message to them. God foreordained and knew and brought us together. It's not me. It's not Billy. It's the bride of Jesus Christ coming together. Amen? And I'm just happy to be a part of it with you. You know, we know that you hear a lot of things, and there's always going to be the criticism, but we're going to keep going forward. Lift our heads up above the criticism and keep going, because we have a message to get to the people. Amen? So we love you all, and we thank you for coming. The great sacrifice that you made to be here on this day. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. We don't have the words to express, but I would like to have a special recognition to the Voice of God employees. Amen. ain't nothing I won't ask them, they'll do it. And that's the only way we can do what we're doing. It's not looking at the clock, and it's not a job. Brother Keith says it's a calling. And it takes us all working together. But I love them from the bottom of my heart, and they love you. And they work tirelessly to get this message out. And I appreciate you.
Amen.
Amen. We got together, Brother Billy Paul and I, and we were talking about the dedication to get everybody here. We were wondering where we were going to hold you all. Billy thought, well, maybe we can just hold them on in this room over here to the side. But I don't think the building's going to hold these people, Billy, for they come. So like I said, that the Lord give us a beautiful day that we can come out here, that we can join hands with one another. We thought, well, let's all get them out here. We'll join hands with one another. Let's put our hands on the building. And let's take this building today. And let us all join together in prayer. And dedicate this building to the Lord Jesus and to the message of the hour. And the message will go forth from this building until He comes for His bride. And if He comes before we even get through praying, praise the Lord. Amen. So if we'll all gather our hands and join hands with one another, we'll have all the brothers that will step up here. We've asked all the brothers if they'll be praying in their own language. And let's just go before Him. And with all of our hearts, let's cry out to Him and thank Him for all His love, His mercy, and His grace to us today. Amen? Amen. Brothers, come forward. Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, as we come before you today, Lord, we don't have the words to express for all that you've done. Lord, we are here today for all days.
to do?